Welcome to Crime Exposed, the channel that brings you the truth behind the most shocking crimes, the untold stories, and the unexpected heroes. Today, we're diving into a chilling case, one where the truth was uncovered by a group of amateurs who weren't afraid to dig deep, challenge the status quo, and ultimately crack the case wide open. This is a story of Lisa Harrington, a beloved school teacher and mother from a small town in North Carolina who went missing one cold October morning. What seemed like an ordinary missing person case quickly spiraled into a mystery that baffled even the most experienced investigators. But as the case unfolded, an unlikely team of online sleuths stepped in. People who had no formal training, no special access to information, and yet they managed to uncover critical details that professionals had missed. In today's episode, we're not just solving crime, we're learning how ordinary people, fueled by curiosity and determination, can make an extraordinary difference. This case shows us how every little clue counts and how persistence can sometimes lead to justice when it seems out of reach. So if you're a fan of true crime, unsolved mysteries, or just love a good plot twist, make sure to subscribe, hit that like button, and share this video with others. Trust me, you won't want to miss this one. Let's get into the details and see how this team of amateurs cracked the case that left everyone else in the dust. The wind howled through the empty streets of Asheville, North Carolina, its eerie whistle sending shivers down the spine of anyone brave enough to be outside. The normally quiet town, nestled in the Appalachian Mountains, was about to experience the shock of a lifetime. The small town was not accustomed to violence or crime, and it wasn't prepared for what was coming. It was a crisp October evening, the air carrying the smell of burning wood from nearby homes preparing for the coming winter chill. The streets were dotted with a kind of leaf piles that only fall could bring, but beneath the calm exterior, something sinister lurked in the shadows. What would begin as a tragic and seemingly random event would unfold into one of the most shocking and puzzling investigations ever seen. Little did anyone know, this crime wouldn't be solved by the local authorities. It would be cracked by a group of amateurs, ordinary citizens who had no formal training in criminal justice, but whose persistence, intelligence, and thirst for justice would ultimately lead them down a path that even professional investigators hadn't thought of. The case had all the ingredients: a missing person, a community gripped with fear, mounting evidence, and ultimately, a twist that would make headlines across the nation. By the end of it, the small town of Asheville would be forever changed, and so would the amateurs who solved the case. Stay tuned, because what you're about to hear will keep you on the edge of your seat. It started on a quiet Monday morning when Lisa Harrington, a local school teacher, was reported missing. Lisa, a 34-year-old mother of two, had been well known in the community. She taught English at the high school and was beloved by her students and colleagues alike. No one could figure out why she hadn't shown up for work that day, or where she had gone. Her husband, Kevin, was the first to notice. He had called her that morning and left a voicemail, but by noon, she still hadn't responded. At first, he thought maybe she was just caught up with work, but when he arrived home that evening to find the house eerily quiet, his worry turned into panic. Her phone, purse, and keys were gone, but there were no signs of a struggle. Everything seemed in order, except for one thing: Lisa had vanished without a trace. Kevin immediately called the police, and within hours, the investigation into Lisa's disappearance was underway. The small-town police department, led by Chief Edward Walker, quickly mobilized a search party. They combed the woods surrounding Lisa's house, questioned neighbors, and interviewed anyone who might have seen something suspicious. But they came up empty-handed. The only clue was a cryptic message Lisa had left on her personal blog. It read, "The truth is hidden beneath the surface, and it will find its way out soon." No one knew what to make of it, and it raised more questions than answers. Was it a message from Lisa herself, or was it some kind of coded message meant for someone else? As the days dragged on, frustration began to mount. Local law enforcement had no solid leads, and they had exhausted all their initial theories. At this point, the town was starting to panic. The idea of a predator lurking in the community was too much to bear. But it wasn't just the police that were paying attention to the case. A group of online sleuths, some with no more expertise than a basic understanding of crime shows, had taken an interest in Lisa's disappearance. They began to piece together bits of information that the local authorities had overlooked, and they were soon about to make a connection no one had seen coming. Among the online sleuths was a diverse group of individuals. There was Jake, a 29-year-old former private investigator who had turned to armchair detective work after losing his job. Then there was Amy, a 22-year-old college student majoring in criminology who had an unhealthy obsession with true crime podcasts. And finally, Sarah, a 38-year-old mother of three who worked as a freelance writer and had been following the case from day one. The three of them, though strangers at first, formed an unlikely team. They began to work together, scouring Lisa's social media pages and piecing together her last few days before her disappearance. They noticed something strange. Lisa had recently started following a man named Tyler Reed, a name that didn't seem to pop up anywhere else in her life. Tyler was a local mechanic with a checkered past, known for petty thefts and rumors of involvement in underground gambling rings. Intrigued, the group dug deeper. They found that Tyler had been involved in a few altercations with local authorities in the past, but nothing substantial ever came of it. Amy, with her knowledge of criminology, suggested that Tyler might be more involved than anyone thought. Sarah, with her deep understanding of human behavior, agreed. They decided to dig further. They reached out to people who knew Tyler. Surprisingly, they discovered that Lisa and Tyler had been seen together on several occasions at a local coffee shop just weeks before her disappearance. These were meetings that hadn't been mentioned in any of the initial police reports. They also learned that Tyler had been acting unusually nervous recently. His friends had noticed he was suddenly flush with cash, and his car had been seen near the edge of the woods where Lisa's house was located. The amateur team's discovery of Tyler's involvement sent shockwaves through the investigation. The authorities, initially skeptical of the online group's findings, soon started to consider the possibility that they had overlooked a critical lead. Jake reached out to an old contact, a local journalist who had worked on a few high-profile cases. He managed to get an interview with Tyler, posing as a reporter following up on Lisa's disappearance. Tyler's nervousness was evident in the interview, his words stumbling and his eyes darting nervously. The police, now intrigued by the findings of the online sleuths, decided to bring Tyler in for questioning. The interrogation room was tense as Tyler squirmed under pressure. Despite his denials, the detectives found inconsistencies in his story. Then, a breakthrough came when they discovered surveillance footage from a nearby gas station. The footage clearly showed Tyler's truck parked near Lisa's house on the night she disappeared, long after the time he claimed to have been home. The evidence was mounting, but the real question remained: why had Lisa been meeting with Tyler in the first place? As the investigation progressed, more questions arose. Did Lisa have a secret relationship with Tyler? Was she involved in something she shouldn't have been? Or had Tyler acted alone? Or was there someone else behind the scenes? One of the most significant controversies was the police department's initial handling of the case. Many locals felt that the authorities had been too slow to respond, and the online sleuths had outpaced them at nearly every turn. Some speculated that the case would have gone cold if it hadn't been for the amateurs. Another question remained: was Tyler the only person involved? Some witnesses claimed to have seen a second person in the vicinity of Lisa's home the night she vanished, but they hadn't been able to identify them. Could there have been an accomplice? The case took an unexpected turn when a local resident came forward with new information. A woman who lived near the woods where Lisa's body was eventually found had seen a suspicious car parked near the trees late that night. This lead was enough to prompt the authorities to search the area once again. This time, they found what they had been hoping for: Lisa's body, hidden under a pile of leaves. The autopsy revealed that she had been strangled, and there were signs of a struggle. The investigation now had its first concrete evidence that Lisa had been murdered, and the trail led straight back to Tyler. With the newfound evidence, Tyler was arrested and charged with Lisa's murder. His trial was a media frenzy, with the online sleuths garnering attention for their role in cracking the case. It was an unlikely victory for the amateur detectives who had solved a case that many believed was unsolvable. The trial concluded with Tyler Reed being convicted of second-degree murder. He was sentenced to 30 years in prison. Though justice had been served, the small town of Asheville was left with lingering questions about the case. Was Tyler the only person involved? And what was Lisa's real relationship with him? The amateur sleuths, Jake, Amy, and Sarah, were hailed as heroes, but they knew that their work was far from over. There were still mysteries in the case that hadn't been answered, and they were determined to uncover the truth, no matter where it led. But as they sat together, reflecting on what they had accomplished, one thing was clear: the world of criminal investigation would never be the same again. As we wrap up today's case, there's an essential lesson we can all take away from Lisa Harrington's story. Persistence, curiosity, and collaboration can uncover the truth when all seems lost. The professionals struggled to solve this case, but it was a group of ordinary people, amateurs, who, driven by their determination and their desire for justice, cracked the case wide open. It reminds us that no matter the challenge, no matter the odds, never underestimate the power of hard work and the pursuit of truth. This case also teaches us about the importance of community. When people come together, sharing their insights, working as a team, incredible things can happen. Every piece of the puzzle matters, and the smallest of clues can lead to the most monumental breakthroughs. If you enjoyed this story, make sure to subscribe, hit the like button, and share this video with others. And if you haven't already, don't forget to catch up with our previous uploads. There are plenty more shocking and gripping stories waiting for you. Trust me, you won't want to miss what's coming next. Thanks for tuning in to Crime Exposed. And remember, the truth is always out there, waiting to be discovered. Stay curious, stay determined, and keep seeking the answers. See you in the next one.